Okay, let's jump straight into this explainer based on Chapter 10 of Morals and Dogma. Now, if you've been following along with us, you know we spent the last chapter really digging into personal courage. That internal grit it takes to do the right thing when the heat is on. But today, we're unpacking a massive shift in how we approach justice. We're moving away from seeing it as just a solo mission and realizing it's an absolute communal necessity. And we're going to explore this through a fascinating concept known as the Elu of the 15. Now, I know Elu of the 15 sounds like some dusty concept locked away in an old philosophical text, right? But actually, scratch that, it is incredibly relevant. We really need to look at it as a modern archetype for how we can actively level up our local communities right now, today. The Elu represents someone who gets that individual action has a hard limit. Think about it. You can only shovel so much snow on your own. If you want to clear the whole neighborhood, you absolutely need collective purpose. It's about recognizing that interconnected justice is literally the only way to spark lasting, systemic change in the networks we live in every single day. So, to break this down, we're going to follow a sort of ripple effect structure today. We'll start with beyond the individual, move into empowering the community, then pursuing truth together, look at the ripple effect, and wrap it all up with leadership through unity. All right, let's dive right into our first section, beyond the individual, from isolation to connection. So personal justice is noble, for sure, but its impact, it's inherently isolated. It's kind of like you trying to do the right thing in your own little bubble, like picking up a single piece of trash on a massive beach. Helpful? Yes. World-changing? Not exactly. Collective justice, on the other hand, engages entire groups, communities, and whole systems. It's organizing the entire town for a massive beach cleanup. This is a huge paradigm shift. It moves us from thinking justice is a solo burden to the sudden, powerful realization that nobody exists in a vacuum. Our actions impact others, and their actions hit right back at us. True justice has to pull in the wider community. And this evolution of awareness happens in 3 key steps. We all start at step 1, right? Personal awareness. Just figuring out what's right and wrong for ourselves. But as we grow in this philosophy, we level up to step 2, collective awareness. We finally start seeing the bigger picture. And that naturally pushes us to step 3, which is an understanding of interconnected life. This is where it clicks that our local actions are constantly pinging off others, pulling us into a much deeper grasp of our shared reality. Look, you just cannot improve a local community today if you're permanently stuck on step 1. Which leads us straight into Section 2, empowering the community, the power of shared responsibility. So here's the deal. Justice and community improvement get exponentially stronger when they're backed up collectively through mutual accountability. Now, working together, that's obvious, but holding each other accountable, that is where the heavy lifting actually happens in our modern communities. It's not just about cheering from the sidelines, it's about keeping each other honest. It's neighbors teaming up to hold a building developer to local safety codes instead of just, grumbling about it privately over coffee. Supporting truth as a group means we actually share the intellectual and moral load. In the Elu framework, responsibility isn't just chopped up so it's lighter for everyone, it's interwoven so it becomes completely unbreakable. Seriously, if you take away absolutely nothing else from this explainer, let it be this rule. Division weakens justice. Unity strengthens it. It sounds so simple, right? Yet we forget it all the time. Cooperation absolutely must triumph over isolation if we're going to make any real, tangible impact. Because the second a community fragments over a local issue, its ability to enact justice just shatters. But when it unifies, it solidifies. Okay, let's move to Section 3, Pursuing Truth Together, a Collaborative Discovery. So the old way of thinking is all about claiming certainty, the idea that one brilliant person holds a complete monopoly on the truth. Well, the philosophy of the Ulu throws that right out the window. Instead, it champions continuous discovery. I want you to think of truth like this massive, insanely complex puzzle. Continuous discovery means we realize everyone holds a totally different puzzle piece, and we only actually see the picture if we collaborate. So rather than one guy shouting that he has all the answers, truth becomes this shared, ongoing community project where we all commit to figuring it out together. But to actually pull off this collaborative pursuit of truth in the real world, we have to lean on 3 non-negotiable pillars: communication, trust, and alignment of purpose. Just think about how this plays out locally. You absolutely cannot cooperatively discover truth without clear communication. And honestly, you can't communicate effectively without deep trust. And trust? It's basically impossible to build if you aren't aligned on your ultimate purpose. But when you lock all 3 of these elements into place, your community becomes an unstoppable engine for finding truth and driving justice. Let's zoom out a bit for Section 4, the ripple effect. How actions echo outward. Imagine dropping a heavy stone into a still pond. Every single choice we make creates that exact kind of ripple effect. We've got to constantly be asking ourselves, how are my decisions hitting other people right now? How do my actions actually shape the future of my neighborhood or even society? And how does my personal responsibility inherently push outward? The Lenio mindset demands that we never, ever view an action in isolation. We have to anticipate the ripples, knowing full well that our shared responsibility is actively building the future of the wider community. It brings us to this incredibly profound realization: nothing we do exists in isolation. Nothing. Every local effort, every tiny attempt to cooperate, every time we mutually pursue the truth, it all echoes outward into the larger system. And it's actually incredibly empowering when you realize that even your smallest collaborative actions are fundamentally rewiring the broader landscape. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Leadership Through Unity, Guiding the Collective. The ELU completely flips the script on traditional leadership. Leading by authority, that's entirely top-down control. It's dictatorial, and honestly, it's outdated. Leading by unity, however, transforms leadership into guidance, deep collaboration, and a huge push for fairness. In this framework, a true leader isn't up on a podium barking orders. They're down in the trenches, guiding by example. They're the ones actively facilitating that trust, communication, and alignment of purpose we were just talking about. They act as the glue that holds the collective responsibility together. So I want you to take a second and genuinely ask yourself, how are you showing up out there? Are you stuck in personal awareness, or do you actually see your actions as part of a much larger web? How are you tangibly contributing to justice in your own local community today? And maybe the toughest question of all, are you truly willing to set aside your need for absolute certainty and roll up your sleeves to work with others in a collaborative pursuit of truth? These are the exact questions that push us from being just passive observers to active, vital participants in an interconnected system. The text leaves us with this incredible thought: justice is not just yours to carry, it is ours to uphold together. This is the ultimate challenge right here. The whole path of the ELU of the 15 proves that isolation is a complete dead end. If we want to change things, we have to start transforming our communities, seeking real truth, and building a better future through the absolutely unbreakable power of shared responsibility. So as you walk through your own neighborhood today, I want to leave you with this. What is the very first ripple of shared responsibility you are going to start? Give that some thought, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.